So as you can tell, like based on what the video is about, this podcast or video is about, I'm pretty much late, very late to this whole topic. But I would like to discuss it anyway. I, for one, enjoyed this movie a lot, and if you have not seen it, I suggest you see it right now. If you have not watched Prometheus, then don't watch this because this will contain spoilers, basically. So, again, I really overall thought that this was a good movie. I've heard about a sequel, the idea of a sequel being made for this movie, and I think that's really good because this movie could use a sequel, and other people have said that, and I agree with that. But even if there was no sequel, I would still enjoy this. I still enjoy this movie for the way it is. Now, some people don't really like this movie, and I find that kind of surprising because I for one really liked it a lot, and people seem to not really like it. They think it's boring or they think it's uninteresting, and I think the exact opposite of this movie. Especially compared to a movie like Blade Runner. To me, Blade Runner was boring. It was uninteresting. It dragged on, and it was just not very enjoyable to watch. Now, there's only one exception to that argument for me, and that was two things. One was I was watching the director's cut version, which did include the narration of Harrison Ford's voice, and Ridley Scott didn't want that to begin with. And second, it was my first time watching it, and I really didn't understand what was going on. I really tried to pay attention, but, there were some parts where it was like, okay, who is this person, or what the hell is going on here, So, maybe if I watch it again, knowing, what's going on now, like what's going on in the movie, compared to when I first watched it, I was completely clueless, I might enjoy it better, but for Prometheus, I got a better understanding just watching it the first time, and Blade Runner and Prometheus, in my mind, have both share thought-provoking questions. Blade Runner, it was what makes a human being, or what makes you human, or what defies a human. In this movie, one of the things that is discussed is the whole idea of the creator, this idea that evolution has been wrong for many centuries, and instead it was this other species of intelligent life that created humans. And David, the android, who is, by the way, one of my favorite characters in the movie, and I'll get to characters a little bit later, but he asked the question, why did you make us? And the other guy, I'm trying to think of his name right now. I'm not really sure forgot what his name was. I'm trying to think. I kind of forgot though. So, shoot. Let me try to find his name really quickly. Okay, it's Charlie. That's his name, and I'll get the characters a little bit later. But David asked Charlie, why did you create us? And Charlie was like, because we could, And then David asked the same question, how would you feel if these people you're trying to find said the same thing about you, And I think that's really interesting, how they're trying to go on this expedition to find why these people made humans and stuff like that. And I think it's interesting how it never really occurs to the crew and to the expedition people itself, the scientists, it never occurs to them that, hey, this other intelligent race could have, just made humans because they could, just for the hell of it, They just made them just because they could, again, just because they could. And, because they're trying to find a deeper meaning, but it could have been also. However, there really was no given answer in this movie, and I guess that's why there's a sequel coming out, or at least I've heard. That's what I understand. There's supposed to be a sequel. The ending, by the way, was really great. The ending was oh my god, like holy crap, like the very ending. I mean, for everyone that's watched the movie, with the alien being that we're all familiar with coming out of the super intelligent being, the Promethean, So, and that sent shivers down my spine. I was just watching that, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" Like, and I told someone else that who watched the movie, and he said he felt the same reaction, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people felt that same reaction because, like, it's still, I guess you can still kind of like argue that it was a prequel, wasn't a prequel to Alien, and for some people, that was the answer right there. It was a kind of a prequel to Alien. But again, like just having that Alien reference right there was pretty awesome. So, also now to the characters really quickly. Again, I mentioned his name is Logan, by the way, not Charlie. No, actually, it is Charlie. My bad. Logan is the actor's name. Charlie is the person he plays. So the thing about Charlie is Charlie actually like has a tendency to kind of irritate me throughout the movie because he's very hot-headed. He's very arrogant for the most part in the movie. Up to the point where he like dies and stuff like that. Because I'm not really sure why, but he just has a very hot-headed, arrogant attitude about him, and like I don't know, that just irritated me throughout the movie because like in the beginning it was like, oh, maybe we should wait till the next morning. It's like, no, we should go right now. Let's get this started. It's like instead of like listening to a much more reasonable solution, you have days on this planet. You could have waited the next day, but no, let's do it right now. It's like, really, there's not even that much like hours left of sunlight, and the thing is like. That was actually the beginning. that was the rising action right there. You could say in the plot. That was a rising action, I believe, right there. It was like, going to the temple on that day. Because then the two guys who I consider like, they seem kind of like idiots, even though they're not supposed to be, but it's just weird because they're acting like, see, it's plot holes basically, And even though I really enjoyed this movie, I can't help but see the plot holes in this movie as well. Why wait? Why not wait till tomorrow? Instead of going right there, and then they leave those two guys in there. Those two guys get lost, and so that kind of screws up the whole expedition right there. They're kind of just screwing themselves over. And I mean, like, just those two guys. It's like, they didn't act like scientists. Basically, they were acting like idiots because there was that snake-looking thing from the black goo, and it's like, oh, look at that! I'm gonna put my hand towards it, and it's like a venom, like teeth. It's like, are you okay? Like, you wouldn't do that with a rattlesnake, probably. You wouldn't probably go towards it, and if it looks menacing, which it did, then you wouldn't be putting your hand towards it. Yet you are like an idiot, and So when he actually like died in the movie, I was kind of like looking at the screen, and I was like, you know what? You deserve it. You're an idiot for that. And just, you're an idiot for that. And then the other guy got hit by the black goo or something like that. And apparently the black goo is like some chemical weapon because it turns him into a mutant, like some kind of mutant thing later. And he actually attacks the rest of the crew members. And the funny thing was, like, the crew members, like, when they opened the bay door, like, they never, like, considered, oh, wait, there's something wrong here. Like, but whatever. Again, though, I think this movie did provide some thought-provoking questions, if there really was like some like intelligent race that created us, why would they create us, or like what's the purpose of creating things to begin with? Is it just to create them because to demonstrate power, to create because we can, or is there a much more like valuable purpose to it? And David, I think, is a really awesome character again, just for him being an android and like. Just being like curious about everything, and like I just really enjoyed the role played. Person who played him, by the way, is Michael Fassbender, and I really enjoyed what he did for David. I thought David was a really good character, and one of my other favorite characters was he was the captain, who was Jenk, yeah. I thought he was a really cool captain because, like, he just was, in my opinion. Like, he was one of my favorite characters from the movie. And Shaw was actually cool, too. Elizabeth Shaw. So, she was actually pretty good, too. And Peter Whalen, was just, again, kind of arrogant, like Charlie was, except he was in a different way. He, he thinks because, like, he made David, he somehow deserves, like, longer life or more life. And apparently that pisses off the Promethean guy who's like, no, that's, screw that. And so, I mean, like, that's pretty much it then. I mean, like, I can't wait. I again, thought this movie was really good, despite what I've just said for the past 11 minutes, the plot hole inconsistencies, some of the arrogant, hot-headed characters, who, by the way, good job with the acting cast here. Like, they did a really good job, in my opinion, doing the acting for each character. I think they did a pretty good job. So, and again, like, I just can't wait till they make this sequel. I enjoy this movie a lot. And that's it, yeah. Except, one more other thing, though, and that is, like, some of the other problems that some people say about the movie is, like, like, oh, it leaves too many unanswered questions. And the thing about that I have is, well, like, I brought up Blade Runner earlier, and that left questions unanswered, So, like, Blade Runner was actually the movie, like, I learned, like, hey, sometimes it's cool, to not have answers to everything in a movie. And so when, like, I saw Prometheus, and, like, some of the questions were answered, I just accepted it as it was, And people, like, have that same reaction. They're like, oh, but, like, questions left unanswered. It's like, well, I mean, just because it's left unanswered doesn't mean that they have to be answered to begin with, So, just wrapping that up again, and thanks for everyone for listening in. Bye.